We can go with that. But let's see if they can push through the pressure here of Jim with his very vibrant Murloc pet, orange and pink and white. I've never seen a Murloc pet like that. It's very interesting. Little Murloc he's got there. Either way, Jim's going to have a lot of CC thrown at him. He's going to have to get around. Volkovich taking the center of the map, throwing the D&D. He's not going to let that invisibility polymorph go off because of that. Now building the icicles. An early clone onto Volkovich. They're pressuring Voltarius. He's into the Horrified. Deep polymorph lands. Great opener so far from the God Comp, but they need to get the cooldowns, and Voltarius just portals away, spams the healing surges, forces them to go into Volkovich, which I think is what they want here. He activates the AMS immediately. They did manage to cut through it. He activates his empowered rune weapon. He's going to be going very hard here onto Frostfy with Voltarius. Now the grip stun onto Miley. A swap over to him with the Breath of Cinder Ghost. He has full runic power, so that's going to go ham on him. He's going to displace their beast out, immediately realizing how much damage would have happened there if he did not. The pet's still connected to him as Voltarius gets put into the full bash. The Frozen Orb comes out. Deep freeze onto Jim. He did get locked out on a Denounce, getting punished for his aggressive play. Voltarius has to activate the Diffuse Magic, which reduces all of the magic damage to him by 90%, and now he's activating the Zen Meditation to continue this damage reduction. He can kind of just sit here in the center now. Really good usage of his toolkit there, though. Now he can stay aggressive as Jim comes out of that final clone. But now into the silence, he has to get out of that, pop the Avenging Wrath, but he cloned him low HP! Miley denying Jim so hard. Now into the Frostjaw. Voltarius does get locked out, but that means the counterspell isn't available for Jim. He's going to be able to pick him up. Now going for those salty denounces. Like, you think you can CC me? I'm going to denounce you back in the face. And Frostfy taking a bunch of pressure. Volkovich managed to steal a Cyclone, throwing it onto Miley. Voltarius going to Flying Serpent kick back to the pillar, get this Surging Mist going. He realizes that he's in a very fragile situation right now, and Frostfy getting pressured by Volkovich by himself in the center. Jim finally now into the full polymorph clone onto Volkovich. They're trying to push into Voltarius, but he's just hiding back here. Now into the disarm, possibly maybe a deep freeze out, bash out, Devouring Plague lands onto him. This might be the Touch of Karma. Jim using his bubble to try and keep him alive. Saved by the Light's going to proc. Going to save that Touch of Karma for later. And Voltarius trying to connect back onto Frostfy here in the entrance to the doorway. Baba the Mage has 5 icicles almost built up here, which he's going to unload here shortly onto Voltarius, I would imagine. Diffuse Magic up at about 10 seconds. So Jim and Voltarius timing their cooldowns reasonably well here to not get caught out. The Gargoyle coming out from Volkovich here onto Frostfy into the Pet Stun. He got chunked down to about half HP. Miley's going for those big Genesis heals right now, and they did manage to get a Shackle onto the Gargoyle, so good awareness by Frostfy to shackle that Gargoyle, reduce the damage coming out from that. Voltarius is he's trying to get back to a target here, spamming the Surging Mists onto Volkovich. Really good utility play from him, but it might not matter. Horrify comes out. He's going to trinket that Death Siphon into the half-bash Desecrate. It's over! Jim in the full clone, and an amazing swap over to Volkovich here by this Shatter play. They want to win this. They are in it to win it. They are not giving up. Taking down Showa Nanas in the first round. All right, man. Jim's on the ropes, facing elimination. Rip Jim. That's the dead Jim screen, for anyone that doesn't know. All right, Tolveron Arena is the map choice here from Jim. They like this map. We're going to be jumping right into the second game of the series here. Whichever team loses in this series gets knocked out. It is going to evaporate into the atmosphere, disappear forever. Their characters even get deleted. They just lose everything if they lose here. They can't afford to lose, and Babo the Mage, Miley, and Frostfy are definitely playing like that's the case. Jim, Volkovich, and Voltarius are going to have to be ready for that swap. Voltarius is very slippery. He is that little gnome. He's a little bit shorter than everybody else, so he's kind of hard to see when the battle's going on, so he's rolling around all over the place like a bowling ball. It's kind of hard to keep track of him. So they took the time to just swap over to Volkovich and punished him very hard and very quickly. Oh man, oh man, oh man, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? We're gonna see some epic swaps here from this shatter play, or are we gonna see them fall apart and lose to the pressure of Volkovich and Voltarius? Let's see what happens. Bob of the Mage pushing in here on his Spectral Tiger mount. Voltarius trying to roll immediately onto him, man. He's ready to fight. He's eager. He's going to be going on to Frostby with the Paralyzed, connecting onto him with Volkovich. A bunch of damage going on to him, but no CC onto Miley. He's going to heal through it just fine back here on the pillar. Possibly an Asphyxiate Death Grip swap here shortly onto Miley to force him into the fight. Now the Blink Deep Freeze Polymorph coming out into Jim Jim. That's going to land with a Horrifying of Voltarius. He's not going to be able to run. The Bash connects. He's holding his Nimble way too late. He's going to get it off, activate the Diffuse Magic. He wants to stay offensive and not portal back, putting out the pressure onto Frosty with the split pressure onto Bob of the Mage. Jim Jim into the Frost Jaw though. Voltarius dipping to about 30% HP. Activates the Zen. It's going to get cancelled though. 49%. He's got the Touch of Karma available should he need to use it. He's trying to run away. Another amazing Shackle onto the Gargoyle, but he's finally coming out of the Shackle. The Gargoyle strikes are coming in onto Bob of the Mage. He's getting dipped fairly low here. The Swiftman from Miley topping him off for now. The Denounce is coming out from Jim Jim onto Frostby, going to be reducing his damage. But I believe there's a disconnect on Frostby here, and Jim Jim, Volkovich, and Voltarius, the well-mannered individuals that they are waiting. They are waiting. What kind-hearted souls. They didn't have to wait. It's past the 45-second mark. They don't have to wait. These guys are well-mannered. There is no BM here. Play to win, or play to be a friendly player. That's what they're picking right now. You guys think they should play to win? Twitch chat? You think they should wait? Or you think Pepe on Jim Jim head? You see the Pepe on Jim Jim's head right now. Is it interacting with Jim Jim as they play some Hearthstone in the middle of the map here and wait for the DC? But he is going to drop out of the game, unfortunately for Bobo, the Mage, and Miley. Oh, he's back. He's teleporting. It's like Jesus. He's back. He is not moving still, though, unfortunately. If he does disconnect, it is a win for Show and Anna's. But I definitely feel like Pepe is influencing Jim Jim's decisions right now. It's like, Jim Jim, don't kill him. Be patient. Oh, he activated the shadow form. Is he back? He turned around. His tuxedo hat. Is he going to do something? He's not moving. He did get a global off. No, wait. Kill pleaser Rito. They are waiting. He seems to be gone again, unfortunately. Volkovich and Jim Jim are playing pass in the center of the arena as they wait for Frosty to come back. He is spinning in a 360. Maybe he doesn't know where he is. Maybe he passed out IRL, woke up, looked at his computer, lost his memory, and doesn't know where he is right now. So he's like looking at his monitor and he just doesn't know what's going on. There's a giant horse pink thing in front of him and a bunch of weird looking animals they're riding. I think he's back. I think he's back. He's rebuffed successfully. He seems to be moving. The feather's coming down. He's sprinting now. He's I think he's saying ready. He's emoting ready. He throws a fear ward up even just to protect the purges here. We should be going back into the game here shortly. He might not have his frames, unfortunately. But he's going to be throwing out the Vampiric Touches, trying to fake some interrupts early on here from Voltarius. He does manage to fake the Spearhand Strike, the Incapacitate onto Miley, Fist of Fear onto Frostfee. Can't pronounce his name, I apologize. Pet Stun onto Frosty. He's taking a ton of damage. There's the Breath of Cinder Ghost, so forcing the Dispersion at 10%. And that was so much damage. And S comes out from Miley. He still has his Trinket. Voltarius, though, taking a bunch of damage. Saved by the Light, proccing at the same time as Diffuse Magic. Incapacitate on Miley. Frostsy's taking so much damage. He could just go down. The weight might not even matter. Ironbark is up on him. He's trying to mitigate all the damage. The pet did manage to interrupt a regrowth now, but the lockout's over. He's getting the heals going. Ironbark is now over as well. The Gargoyle is down on the ground and dead now, so the pressure should be slowing down. Incapacitate fading onto Miley. Amplify Magic now into the full Hodge, though. Frosty getting pressured fairly hard here, throwing out the Devouring Plague, trying to counter pressure, but that's the full Fist of Fury into half yard asphyxia. It could be it for him. 30%. Denounce is coming in. 19%. Fear landed onto Volkovich and Voltarius just in time. Dispels come out, though. He's going to fake the Mind Freeze. He's trying to get his dots rolling, trying to get his damage to do something, but Touch of Karma comes out before the disarm. Great play by Voltarius there to deny the damage here. Jim into the Polymorph, and Frostfee is getting pressured so hard. 30%, 18%, 8%, 3, he's down. And Shoananas coming back. They were patient. They waited for the DC. And they ended up getting the win. You know, it's karma. Karma exists in the world. And we have a series. We are 1-1. Whichever team loses this next game is out. Let's ask Bobo the Mage for map choice, please. This monk is a pro. Runes of Lordaeron is the map choice here. We're going to jump into that right away. Runes of Lordaeron, the final showdown place to go. Oh my god. It's too troll, camera guy. I think that is way too troll. But this is the final round. Final game hype. Whichever team wins will progress to fight Welcome to EU, which is not a very pleasing fate either. Between getting knocked out and having to face Welcome to EU, what would you want? I mean, in all honesty, I think you still want the chance. But just saying that it is like getting knocked out or having to duel Darth Vader and you don't have anything, you're just naked. I don't think that's my opinion of it, but oh well here. Jim throwing out some early heals, stacking up the shields. Miley as well, stacking up the mushroom and throwing out the early rejuves. Denounces onto Frosty here. He's getting pressured by both Melly, the Master Root coming onto them, freedom from Jim to get Volkovich mobile, the Asphyxiate onto Miley, the Gargoyle coming out, Desecrated Ground as well, doing a ton of damage to Frostfee, the Breath of Cindergosa now as well. In the meantime, Voltarius had to Nimble Brew. He's silenced. He can't use the Diffuse Magic when he's silenced. He's going to have to throw out the Touch of Karma, which mitigated a lot of damage. It's going to be pressuring Frostfee hard here. The Amplified Magic coming out from Baba the Mage to help Miley heal a little bit here. The Frostjaw is going to get Aura Mastery by Jim, but he's not going to have that Aura Mastery for the silence of Frostfee later on in the game should it get to that place. And he is still getting pressured by the Gargoyle here. No Shackle onto it this time. But there seems to be another problem, unfortunately. The Gargoyle is just going to town, though. He's keyboard turning. Who's DC'd? I'm so confused. Is it Voltarius? He's in the attack position. He's got an interesting transmog. I'm trying to figure out which person is DC'd. It is not Frostfee. He's on his mount. Frostfee. That's so hard to say. I don't know what to say. I think it's Voltarius. You know, wait, he's moving. He's throwing out some heals. Is it Volkovich? You know, he rebuffed Horn of Winter. Is it Miley? This sucks, man. I wish the internet wasn't like this. Man, Jim with Thunder Fury, though. He's going to kill Frosty by himself. The Thunder Fury might is proccing on him right now. If Jim can take him down by himself, he's swapping over to Baba the Mage with that Thunder Fury. The team seems to be all back now, though. All 6 players are moving. He needs to remember to take off the Thunder Fury. Good for him. He does remember to change his weapon. That would be awkward to lose with Thunder Fury on. But it would be epic to win with Thunder Fury on. I would say that much. He's not going to risk it, though. Switches his weapon back. All right. Both of these teams are still kind of debating what to do. You want to remake? Okay. Okay. Yeah, they DC'd 45 seconds before end of the game, so we're going to remake it because the Druid does not have frames. That's what they were typing to me. I didn't have my chat log on. All right, and reset this back to 1-1. Gonna try and queue them up immediately. All right, this could be the last game. Hopefully no more disconnects. We don't need no disconnects. Lag gods, please leave us alone. Alrighty then. Volkovich, the Shadow Priest is not joining the game. Yikes! Yikes! Yowza! Okay. Wait. Okay, they're ready to go. He did manage to join. I was just talking to him, make sure he was able to get in. If the disconnects provide a problem, I'm probably going to give them like 10, maybe 15 minutes to change it and fix it. And if they can't, then they will have to forfeit it. Unfortunately, we just don't have the time. The Kona Cold coming out here very early. Voltaire is trying to throw out some early damage as well. Full clone on to Volkovich. He did not manage to Dark Simulacron that. Frostby throwing out the early Vampiric touches as well. Paralyzed into Miley, into the Asphyxiate out of that. They're trying to pressure Frostby here. He's got the Diffuse Magic up as well. Breath of Cinder goes to forcing that Dispersion almost immediately, as well as the NS, but they're going to swap over to Miley after that NS was forced. Volkovich is not going to chase him into the room, though. He's pulling back. The Gargoyle is still out there pressuring Frostby here in the middle of the map. 50% HP, no Disperse. Miley gets locked out on that Cyclone. This might be the game. Fist of Fury come out. Ironbark is up. Is it enough? It's not. Touch of Death is the touch of victory that this team needed. Show ananas. That's my fingers snapping. I know it's very bad. They're going to move. They're going to move. Alrighty. Now we get to see Welcome to EU going up against Show Ananas. Thank you, though, to Shatterplay, Bob of the Mage there. His team played really well, put on some really good series. It was a lot of fun watching them play, so thank you to them for playing. But we are going to jump into the semifinals losers bracket here. Whichever team wins is going to go and move up to fight Gladiator Fakebot. I don't know why I'm snapping my fingers. You can't see them. It probably sounds random. But I'm just going to get a hold of Z-Pie. Are you guys ready? You fight Jim. Ananas. There's the pineapples, man. They showed the pineapples. Sony Digital, oh my god. Sony Digital is a pineapple fan as well. I think Z-Pie is AFK right now, so I just got a hold of him. Gonna give him a minute. He messaged me on a different account. I'm wondering maybe if he was on that one. Yes, they are ready. Let's get Jim Jim. Let's get that Jim Jim pineapple lover here. He wants some ananas. Are you ready? Losers bracket semifinals, man. Welcome to EU. Got knocked down here by Gladiator Fakebot. Let's see if they can get back in it to get some revenge. We're going to reset the score here. Both teams are ready. Welcome to EU going up against Show Ananas. Starting on the Grand Arena best of 3. Join as group has failed. We're going to try it again. No, it's because I have the wrong person in the add-on. It's not the add-on's fault. It is my fault. Sorry, add-on. That was my bad. All right, now let's try. There we go. Waiting for the request to be sent. How you guys doing in Twitch chat, man? Who do you want to win? Who do you want to make it to the grand finals? Is it welcome to EU? Or are you a pineapple lover? You want Show Ananas? You guys got to pick. Oh, sad face. We got a bit of a problem, internet problem here that they're trying to fix. Wally, there's walrus lovers, pineapple lovers, berry lovers even. We're just waiting for Show Ananas to be ready to queue up. We can jump into it. Semifinals. And Gladiator, Fakebot, Nefo in the winner's bracket do have a second chance. So whichever team makes it to fight them will have to beat them in not 1 series, but 2 series. They have to beat them twice. And they just 2-0'd Welcome to EU in 1 series. So Welcome to EU is going to have to find a way to get through their split strategy, beat them once in a series, and then beat them again. Can they do it? Is it possible to do it? They have to win 6 games. They have to win 6 individual games to be able to win from the loser's bracket, whichever team makes it up there. Okay. They're ready. We're going to queue them up. Semifinals. Whoop, whoop. And they are going to be playing Demonology, Elemental, and Restoration Druid. No changes of specs there. Volkovich sticking with Unholy. Voltarius on Windwalker. Jim Jim on Holy Paladin. I like his shoulder transmog. Those scrolls on the side are pretty epic. Some pretty good transmogs in this game overall. Walrix has his pretty princess ice dress transmog on like Frozen. It looks like the Frozen princess. Interesting choice there by Walrix. Whereas Zeepai is going for like this armored heavy-duty red and gold-trimmed, almost Spartan elemental shaman lord transmog. Let's see which team can pull it out. Welcome to EU. Already decimated this team in the last time that they met. Volkovich trying to pressure Zeepai for now. Looney does have Voltarius on his tail. Walrix popping the demon form now, trying to push out to do something. Voltarius into the full clone, but there's the grip on the Looney with the gargoyle coming out. He's going to bark skin that cooldown immediately to reduce the damage. Now swapping over to Zeepai, trying to pressure him with his gargoyle. He's not Sham Raging just yet. He is dipping to about 60% HP, but like I'm saying, he still has that wall available. They're actually trying to kill the gargoyle. Zeepai manages to snipe the gargoyle with that fulmination stack. Good awareness there to just eliminate that cooldown. Unleash Lava Burst being chucked out here. I know that they want to swap over to Jim Jim, and Jim Jim's doing a good job positioning as far back as he can. Zipai is getting pressured really hard into the leg sweep. He has the full hots. The Chi Burst is going to connect. Rising Sun Kick as well. Now Zipai at 11 stacks could possibly switch to Jim Jim with that Fulmination, but Breath of Cinder Gosa coming on to Looney, and that Asphyxiate is going to displace the Beast immediately out. The AMS was used offensively by Volkovich there to avoid getting rooted, but now he's going to get cloned. He has to Desecrated Ground to get out of that crowd control and start pressuring Zipai here with the remaining amounts of his Breath of Cinder Gosa, chunking him down to 30% HP. He does get Thunderstormed away. Voltarius trying to reconnect as well. Walrix, though, the Demon Bolt is coming onto Jim Jim. Does he solo him is the question. 47%. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, but he did force the Avenging Wrath, the Hex on the Voltarius. He's swapping over to Volkovich. Doesn't have that AMS available for a few more seconds. Trying to throw the Death Grip in on his Zipai, chunking him really low here. Looney's having a hard time keeping him alive, and his mana is taxed so hard. 47%. The Sap is going to break onto him. Aura Mastery from Zipai. Thunderstorm comes out. He's going to go into the clone, but he stole it. He's going to throw that clone right back onto Looney. No trinket. Zipai uses his Shamanistic Rage to reduce the damage immediately. Now the Iron Bark follow-up. Walrix with the Dark Soul, though, trying to connect, but he gets incapacitated on his Dark Soul. That is a big block for him. Now into the Fist of Justice, finally getting dispelled, but his Dark Soul's over. Sacrifice coming onto Volkovich by Jim Jim, as well as the Icebound Fortitude to reduce the damage, and Jim Jim's doing a great job just line of sighting, staying really far back. Leg sweep on a Zipai, no Shamanistic Rage available. Looney trying to Shadow Melt some CC there. Jim Jim now into the Fear. Fist of Fury coming out. He has a full Fulmination stack. He gets paralyzed on his Demon Bolt, though. Chaos Waves into Volkovich on the Capacitor Stun. All of the Imps are channeling at once. He's going to have to AMS to avoid all of that magical damage. The Halater onto Jim Jim, it's only half. They're pressuring Volkovich fairly hard. He activates the Lichborn to try and heal himself back up, but he gets cloned on it. He's going to spam some Death Coils on himself out of that, though. He should be okay. Resetting his runes as well to get some burst here going onto Zipai. Zipai pulling back here with Looney, who's trying to go for a drink, but he's not going to be able to. He gets put into the full paralyze. Hodge onto Walrix in the center of the map. Not going to be dispelled for just a second. Not even dispelled at all. Jim Jim, though, getting swapped to. There's the stun. This might be his bubble. Chaos Wave connects, and he's immediately going to bubble that demonic leap from Walrix. Zipai now getting pressured with an Asphyxiate Paralyzed CC chain onto Looney. Iron Bark and Shamanistic Rage are up to reduce the damage, as well as Stone Form. Oh, so many cooldowns right there. And the Gargoyle's up in 1 second. They're not going to have those cooldowns to answer the Gargoyle from Volkovich should he choose to throw it out. Death Gripping Looney and trying to just interrupt his healing a little bit, but now he goes for the clone. He does manage to AMS the Cyclone. It's going to avoid it. Zipai with no cooldowns left. It's up to Volkovich to throw that Gargoyle out, and he does. Now the leg sweep onto Zipai. He gets locked on the Hex. 30%. Asphyxia on a Looney. This might be the comeback for them. 30%. He's going for the Healing Surges. Denounce comes out. Aura Mastery. Healing Surges. He's just desperately trying to keep himself alive. Stampeding Roar. 28%. So many heals. So little time. He does survive that swap with the Gargoyle. But Looney's mana is starting to get taxed 29% as opposed to Jim Jim's 50%. But there is a DC. Unfortunately, they had so much pressure, and they're just going to lose it. They had so much. Unfortunately. Oh, he's back! He's here! Volkovich, the Unholy Lord, throwing out some damage onto Walrix, but that was their opportunity to win, and disconnecting during it is an awful experience. He's trying to swap over to Looney, but he can't connect onto him. He's too slippery. Walrix trying to push in here with the Demonic Leap to swap to Jim Jim. He does manage to lock out the Word of Glory, pushing in very hard. There's the Howl of Terror, fearing him to the open. Now into the Pet Stun. He has to trinket that immediately, but now he's into the Capacitor Totem Stun. The Chaos Waves are crashing in. The Avenging Wrath from Jim Jim should be able to keep him alive. The Fist of Fury peeling as well. Asphyxiate onto Looney. They're trying to pressure Zipai here now with the full Pet Stun from Volkovich. He's dipping fairly low, 50%. He has that Shamanistic Rage available. He's trying to save it. Looney finally coming out of CC, gets the NS with the Soul of the Forest, extra healing boost, topping Zipai off immediately. Now the Lavaverse being chucked at Volkovich, who may or may not be DC'd again. Man! Well, this gives me a chance to fix my UI a little bit. Alrighty, there. Well, no, why doesn't it work? There we go. Got to fix my own UI, though, in the meantime. I'm happy. This little wild imp spamming those fell firebolts. This imp wants to win. The imp is telling Welcome to EU, don't wait. And Volkovich is back. See if they catch Walrix off guard. He's really pushed up right now. Doesn't seem like they're going to randomly burst him. The Earthquake coming down from Zeepai. Looney did manage to get a drink during that disconnect, kind of trading off, waiting to get some mana back. But that was the advantage that Shoanana's had, and now it's gone. Jim Halter to the center of the map. No trinket, no bubble. He's going to have to bop himself out of that stun. That was the Dark Soul, but he gets leg sweeped on the Dark Soul. They're pressuring Walrix fairly hard here. Possibly the Fist of Fury out of that. There's the Fist of Fury. It's hitting Looney as well. Stampeding Roar comes out. They're trying to get him to that Touch of Death range. 30% HP. The NS, Dark Regen, and Hellstone, and Ironbark all come out, but that's not going to be available for Zeepai as Volkovich tries to swap over to him, chucking him to 50% HP. They managed to interrupt the Cyclone. Now he's going for the regrowth. The Lava Burst coming out onto Volkovich. He's just going to AMS a Cyclone onto Voltarius. It was not stolen by Volkovich, so he's not going to be able to throw that around. Spamming the Death Siphon, keeping his HP high at this moment of time while Voltarius is just getting CC'd. But there's the Howl of Terror onto Jim. Possibly the swap here. He trinkets the Howl of Terror. Possibly the pet stun there. Might have missed it. The Avenging Wrath comes up. Should be able to top himself. Zeepai getting pressured now. Might die through the Shamanistic Rage. Dampening at 13%. He's almost in Touch of Death. Hellstones to try and dodge it. He gets a Thunderstorm, and Volkovich looks like he might be DC'd again. Oh, but Voltarius is trying to kill him, maybe? Oh, no. He randomly got kicked on the Healing Surge. I was wondering if Voltarius might not have waited there. Volkovich is back. Who DC'd? Are they all back? Is it Looney? What is up, man? Who is gone? Is it Voltarius? No, Voltarius is moving. Is it Jim? No, it's not Jim. Voltarius is moving. Looney was moving just a second ago. Walrix isn't moving. Walrix is kind of AFK. He's keyboard turning now. He's here. He seemed to be here. 18% dampening. Stacking up here slowly. Zeepai did leave. I think they want to maybe... Okay, they want to replay the game. Both the teams agreed to replay the game. It's fine. If they want to, if it's up to the players if they want to replay the game past 45 seconds. So they do want to replay. They want to get the clean game in. They don't want to win because of that, obviously. Just going to reset the score. Going to give Jim a couple minutes to... Can he fix it? Yeah, Zeepai was about to go down a lot of times that game, and he DCs like right at the moment of killing. It's just like, I'm gonna win. Disconnected. All right, he's DC'd again. Okay, I'm gonna give you 10 to 15 minutes to try and fix it, but we need to keep moving. All right, they say they're ready. We're gonna try and queue this again. First series of the semifinals. Let's queue them up. We're going to try this again. We are going to try this again. Please don't DC, please. I would like to see the game played out completely. All right, let's see if Voltarius and Vukovic can pursue through the annoying amounts of disconnects that they're receiving right now to achieve victory. They were so close to it. They were so close to it. Unfortunately, Vukovic DCing at the worst times. He is choosing to play soccer with Jim right now, passing the ball back and forth between the two of them. They're warming up. They're getting their legs ready, kicking the ball around, getting ready to go. And Walrix and Zipa are definitely looking for those swaps to Jim. And last game, Jim was on his toes, always in a decent position to avoid that swap, which is why Vukovic and Voltarius are able to stay so offensive. I'd like to see Zipa and Walrix change it up a bit, change their target choice up. Denounces is coming out early here onto Walrix, and Zipa trying to set up his Flame Shock army to proc those lava bursts. Unleash coming out. Howl Terror onto Jim. He's feared into the open. He gets pet stunned in the middle. He walls, but it might be too late. He gets paralyzed on his Dark Soul. There's the Capacitor Totem out. Procs the Save by the Light. He pops the Avenging Wrath. He escapes with his Trinket. He escapes with his Bubble. And now on the other side, they force the Shamanistic Rage and Iron Bark onto Zipa with the Breath of Cindergosa and the Gargoyle coming out from Vukovic, doing a bunch of damage to him, but fairly well mitigated on both sides here in the opener from those initial bursts. Zipa getting locked on the lava burst, throwing down the healing stream, trying to go for a hex and fake some interrupts. But he's going to actually just go for the Aura Mastery healing surges instead, actually using the Ascendance to heal, but he gets fisted on it. He's going to Trinket, go for a hex, but I believe it was AMS'd there, or trinketed by Voltarius, sorry. So he's going to trinket that and pressure Zipa very hard. No Shamanistic Rage available. Looney trinkets the Asphyxiate to try and heal up his buddy. Now going for a Cyclone on Vukovic. He does not manage to Dark Simit. He desecrated grounds out of that. Immediately gets the freedom as well. Walrix pushing in with the Hellfires, the salty Hellfires right on top of Jim, building up that Demonic Fury. He gets knocked into the open. Howl of Terror as well. He's going to be stunned up here, but Walrix gets leg swept in the face, counteracting all of their setup right there onto Jim, and now instead choosing to use the Chaos Waves onto the DPS. Voltarius getting cloned at low HP. Vukovic getting topped off very quickly by the execution sentence of Jim. And Voltarius is actually getting pressured fairly hard back here. 40%. Throwing the Fist of Fury, though, onto Walrix. Jim should be able to top his team off. Again, more Hellfires coming out on top of Jim, though. Voltarius trying to connect back to Zipa, the Asphyxiate onto Looney. Possibly the Incapacitate out of that as well. Forcing the Shamanistic Rage onto Zipa, as well as the Iron Bark. There's the Paralyze. He was waiting for the dots to fall off. Well played by Voltarius there, but the triple Howl of Terror. Jim is feared to the center of the map. That's the Dark Soul. He's going to bubble immediately. He knows what results from that swap, and he is not going to overuse his cooldowns. Just answers all of that with his bubble. Saves his Avenging Wrath, saves his Aura Mastery, saves his Shield Wall. Zipa getting locked out on that Hex, now going for the Lava Bursts. Walrus just standing on top of Jim. Very annoying for Jim to deal with. But Zipa taking a ton of damage in the center of the map. The NS coming out from Looney. Now he's into the Asphyxiate, possibly the Paralyzed CC chain out of that with the Breath of Cindergosa rolling onto Zipa right now. So low, 30%, 20%. Going for some heals. He gets locked out on the Healing Surge, though. They need to stop the regrowths. He gets paralyzed. DR, Fist of Fury onto Zipa here. 19, he's almost in touch of death range. The Hellstone comes out, 20% HP. At the same time, Vukovic dipping low. He gets topped off, 19%, 20%, 19. He gets Death Grip back in, 26, going for a Hex. Double Capacitor Totem is going to secure his life there, but he had to use the Shamanistic Rage nonetheless. They're swapping to Jim. They're trying to push in and do something to him, but he's got himself in a great position back here behind the pillar with the Avenging Wrath rolling. Walrix trying to get Howl of Terror, potentially putting his portal in, even offensively. He knows he's not going to be a target. The pet charging onto Jim, getting the Mortal Strike effect. He's throwing some imps down as well. He wants to set up onto Jim without his trinket up, but it's up in 4 seconds, and he's managed to line of sight long enough that it should be available. He gets Howl of Terror. It's going to be the pet stun out of that. There's the pet stun landing. He trinkets immediately. Leg swept on the Dark Soul once again by Voltarius onto Walrix, so they shut down the cooldowns, and that's what they need to do every time until Jim has his bubble up. Demon Bolt coming out from Walrix. It's going to connect, but not too much damage out of that as he is paralyzed. He's going for the Chaos Waves into Jim, trying to solo him by himself. He gets Fist of Justice, third DR duration. Now going for the Drain Lives. Walrix is a salty Warlock, man, just standing on top of him, trolling him almost with these Drain Lives, waiting for that burst opportunity. Vukovic into the Cyclone coming out of that. Jim's mana is getting tapped, though. He's doing much worse on mana this game as opposed to the last. He does manage to get the Turn Evil onto Walrix's pet, so it's going to alleviate the Mortal Strike healing reduction for now. Asphyxiate onto Looney, possibly a Paralyze out of that. Walrix with the Demonic Leap, Howl of Terror. That's going to be the pet stun follow-up into the Demon Bolt. He bops the stun. He lines the second bolt. He's going to live for now, and his bubble is still not off cooldown for another 3 minutes. Vukovic managing to steal a Cyclone there. Let's see if he decides to throw it out onto anyone. Stun onto Walrus, trying to mitigate his damage. Swapping over to him, finally punishing the aggressive plays from Walrus throughout the whole game. Dipping to about half HP, but there might be a DC here. And Looney is not moving. Either he's AFK and knows his team can win. Oh, maybe he just went AFK in the middle of the game. Just randomly stopped moving there. Volkovich is still doing a bunch of damage right now. Voltarius as well as Chi torpedoing to Zeepai. He gets Thunderstorm back, flying Serpent Kick, but he gripped him on the Serpent Kick. Volkovich trolling Voltarius a little bit there, but it might not end up mattering. A ton of damage coming out of Zeepai. Activates the Stone Form. No Shaman Rage for about 2 seconds. Now Fist of Fury dampening is moving in. Jim in the meantime had to bop another stun on him for the swap potential. Looney getting locked out on that regrowth. Shaman Rage is still up for 6 more seconds. He should be alright to tank Voltarius and Volkovich. Jim's bop is now over, but his mana is starting to feel the pain. Hex gets locked out by Zeepai, clone onto Voltarius. Volkovich did manage to steal it and throw the clone right back onto Looney. Fear is going to get desecrated ground by Volkovich. Voltarius into the full hex. It's going to break to the damage. Throws it that Rising Sun kick onto Zeepai here, dipping him to about 48%. Now the Iron Bark onto him, 47%. Rejuice coming out from Looney. He's trying to top him off. He's rebuffing as well to get the damage rolling. He needs to top off because he wants to push into Jim. This is the moment where they can win. He has no bop and no bubble. There's the Howl of Terror setup. Dark Soul, Demon Bolt. He gets paralyzed right at the end of the cast. Voltarius shutting down Walrix once again on this offensive push. Volkovich getting cloned up there. He's unable to steal it to throw it back. Voltarius getting chunked. Jim still getting chased. So the Fulmination Earthshock did a bunch of damage. He has to use the Avenging Wrath to play catch up, dampening at 7%. The Wild Imp's going wild on Jim. He's trying to line of sight everything that he can. Shamanistic Rage in the meantime forced on the Zeepai. He's going to Thunderstorm the Fist of Fury though, negating the damage effect from that. Fist of Justice on the Walrix. 60 on the Looney. This could be it for Zeepai. Shaman Rage is still up, but it's going to be fading shortly. 90%, 16%, 11%. Touch of Death Range in just a second. 6%. He's going to go down. Show Ananas. Oh my god. He is DC'ing? He is DC'ing. Oh man. Alright. Well. Okay, I'm going to see what the players want to do because Jim did play that game out. So the game would go to them unless they want to replay it. My voice says, please don't want to replay it though. That's what my voice is saying right now. I'm going to ask what Jim wants. What is the add-on called? I don't know. Just trying to make sure that we're just waiting to get confirmation. Blades. Okay. Okay, so they're going to play it out, but both of these teams are going to be cutthroat. If there are DCs from this point on, they are not going to wait. So that first point is going to go to Jim, and Zeepai is going to pick Blaze Edge Arena. Okay. Okay. All right. Blades Edge Arena. Show Ananas is up 1 point right now. Juice popped. Let's move in. Let's move in. Let's move in. Okay, boys and girls, this is second match of the losers bracket semifinals. Some unfortunate disconnect drama. Both the teams have decided that if there's a DC after 45 seconds, that it is cutthroat. They are not going to wait. That is the decision from both of the teams that they told me. Jim does get the point. Unfortunately, Looney with a DC problem. Hopefully has fixed it now. So it is going to be 1-0 for Show Ananas as we move into the second game on Blades Edge Arena. Switch your screen. Just reminding. The game is going to be starting here shortly. Voltarius Flying Serpent kicks across the map, paralyzed onto Walrix to stop the gateway. Hex onto Voltarius, though. He's going for the gateway once again. The gateway is going to land. Just waiting for the screen to change. Alright, we're back in the game now. Noston onto Zeepai, paralyzed onto Looney. Breath of Cindergosa forcing that Shamanistic Rage very early. 60% denounces even coming in from Jim. It's going to be a much harder map for Jim to run away from the swaps though, but they are pressuring Zeepai well here. The regrowth gets locked out on Looney. He gets gripped on his next cast. There's the pet stun into Jim. They're trying to swap with the half stun capacitor totem. He's getting globaled right now. The shield wall comes out. The Avenging Wrath execution sends as well, and Zeepai in the Fist of Fury though could just go down. Shadow Meld from Looney there to try and get the Genesis healing rolling onto Zeepai. He seems to be stabilizing his health, but so much pressure early on here, and the clone was stolen. It's thrown onto Looney. He doesn't want to trinket that, and Zeepai's going to use the stone form now into the asphyxia. He has to trinket that. He gets the NS, but now he's into the paralyzed. Fortunately, he was dotted, so that's going to break. Zeepai trying to fake cast to go for a hex. He lands the hex on a Voltarius. He trinkets immediately to keep the pressure rolling onto Zeepai. Jim into a fear, into another fear. They're trying to set up onto him out of that. The full axe toss lands. He's going to trinket immediately, possibly drop down below. That's the Dark Soul of Walrix. He's trying to chase after Jim. The Chaos Waves doing a ton of damage. Zeepai still getting pressured, 30% HP. Looney trying to play catch up the entire game with him, but there might have been a DC here on Looney. It would appear, and unfortunately, because the teams did decide not to wait, he's going to go down. Awkward, but it was up to the players to wait, and it was after 45 seconds. So, technically speaking, Show Ananas is going to move forward to the grand finals. That's all she wrote. That's the way that it had to be dealt. The cards are given. Both teams feeling some DCs, and unfortunately on the latter half, Welcome to EU is going to get knocked out. Hopefully they don't discourage themselves from playing in future tournaments as a result from it. They did put on a lot of great games. It was great to have the players that were on that team, Zeepai, Walrix, and Looney, as well as been Poike to play. So I hope that they don't quit or not want to participate in any more tournaments as a result of this. That would be terrible. But technically speaking, Jim's going to move forward, and it might feel bad for them, but that's just the way that it went. I can't make that sound any better. Like I don't think either of the teams are doing it to each other. Wouldn't expect them to. The caliber of players that they are, and they know each other too. Most of them know each other really well, so I wouldn't imagine it was anything personal like that. Unfortunately, that means that Zeepai is going to get knocked out. Show Ananas is going to move to the grand finals to fight against Gladiator Fakebot. We're going to get them plugged into the add-on here and jump into the grand finals right away. Yeah, it sucks. Well, yeah, it's kind of scummy what went on, but it's not. I don't think it's any of the teams. Um, who? The add-on? Okay. The teams are downloading the add-on already. Okay. Both the teams are just going to download something to hopefully help them through the disconnects. Oh, it just feels bad to jump to the grand finals like that. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's a really bad way of phrasing. I'm sorry. Don't listen to that. They played good games. Disconnects are unfortunate. But we are in the grand finals. Gladiator, Fakebot, Nefo, they're just downloading an add-on, try and help them out with the DCs. Going up against Show Anana's Jim's team. Okay. Where's Botar? Botar's voice is dead. A lot of people's voices are dead. All right, let's see. See, where can we go from here? We're just waiting for both the teams to tell me they're ready. They're downloading something to help themselves avoid the disconnect problems, and then we can move to the grand finals, man. Grand finals hypes. We're gonna have a Windwalker monk in the grand finals. Jim and Voltarius and Volkovich. And we're gonna have Gladiator, Fakebot, Nefo playing the Mistweaver Turbo Cleave. They've been dominating every team thus far in the tournament. So it's best of 5. Alright, just letting the teams know the rules. It's best of 5. Oh, 5. 5. 5. All right, so potentially 2 best of 5s if they can pull off the win. But we're just waiting for both the teams. Let me know when you're ready. Let them both know what the rules are. It's going to be best of 5. And if Gladiator Fakebot loses, there's another best of 5 played because they have not lost a series. It's their second chance to play again. It is a best of 5 as opposed to a best of 3. And this is the grand finals, man. Boys and girls, Jim's ready. Is Blizzo ready? Not yet, it would appear. Oh, man. I gotta stretch. I gotta stretch. Okay. Oh, man. All right, switch the map. It's definitely not starting on Blade's Edge. Starting on the Grand Arena, the most stable map of all of them. 4 evenly placed pillars. Well-balanced shape. Blizzo tells me he's going to be ready really, really soon. And Nefo, the Mistweaver Monk, on Gladiator Fakebot, has some really good kiting pass. And Voltarius and Volkovich are most likely going to be pressuring him, and I feel he's not going to get caught off guard. He hasn't got caught off guard by any team he's fought in the tournament. He always sticks to his kiting pass. He doesn't get disoriented, and if the other team does manage to catch him in a stun, then he has Spitzkoffy on Enhancement Shaman throwing off some off heals and giving him the help that he needs. So they have good teamwork, good synergy, good damage, and Jim, Volkovich, and Voltarius kind of have to work around that. They need to get through his portal, get through his life cocoon, connect onto him to really punish him, which is going to be a hard thing to do. So they might need to split DPS, who knows? Blizzo and his team pulled out that strategy and split DPS to take out Minpoike's team 2-0, which was pretty pretty well played by them strategically. But both the teams are ready, man. This is the grand finals. We're going to start on the Grand Arena, best of 5. Best of 5. The same map cannot be picked twice until all of the maps have been played. Both the teams have accepted the queue. It's time to start this thing. It's time to start it up. Let's go. All right. Let's see if there's any spec changes. Nope, we have Jim, Holy Paladin, Volkovich on Holy Death Knight. EU likes Unholy over Frost. It seems to be what they're all playing. Voltarius on the Windwalker Monk. Blizzo on Arms Warrior, not going to be playing Fury. Nefo on the Mistweaver Monk with his Pirate Eye Patch Transmog. Spitzkoffy playing the Enhancement Shaman. Double Draenei, Double Trouble on Gladiator Fakebot's side. And Volkovich's and Voltarius' damage is going to be much more sustained, much more AoE. And if they can keep the spread pressure like that, I think it's the best strategy to go through Nefo's kind of single target burst-based healing as a Mistweaver. If they try to all-in Nefo and he's prepared for it, it's going to backfire on them, I feel like. And Spitzkoffy has really good Hex targets. They're all vulnerable to Hex, and there's no decurse. So as long as Spitzkoffy can get off some good Hexes, Nefo can kite reasonably well. They definitely can take down Show Ananas here in the first round. Volkovich on his goat right now, trying to connect into the center of the map here. On to Spitzkoffy for now. Voltarius pushing into Nefo, trying to land that Paralyze. There's the Asphyxiate. There's the swap. Blizzo has the Recklessness, though. He's trying to Dark Simulacron, the Life Cocoon right now. He gets Nimble Brew out of that. He gets gripped on. He's going to instantly Chi Torpedo to the other side of the map, but he gets incapped on his heel. He's going to portal to the other side, and this is the kiting path I was talking about. It goes pillar to pillar to pillar to pillar, and Volkovich and Voltarius just can't keep up with him. Now they're swapping over to Blizzo, though. He's trying to throw out some damage. Jim into the full Hex. He's going to be able to sit through that. Doesn't need to Trinket. Voltarius still has the Touch of Karma available. Blizzo dipping to about 45%, goes back into defensive stance to reduce the incoming damage as much as he can. The Gargoyle is going to be fading here shortly. Nefo has survived the burst, and there's the fear on the Jim. Volkovich getting pressured very hard. He's going to Aura Mastery to negate the remaining amount of that Ascendance damage from Spitzkoffy, but the Blitz stun lands onto all 3 players of the Turbo Cleave. Nefo being pressured now very hard, but a double Shockwave onto Volkovich and Voltarius. He's going to desecrate ground. Nefo just portals instantly to the other side, going to kite pillar to pillar to pillar. Now they're swapping to Spitzkoffy, though. Kind of caught off guard, not Shaman Raging early enough here maybe, and he's trying to be greedy and not use it as at all. He's going to escape without using it for now, 45%, 40%, but he's still getting chunked. Nefo trying to spam out the Soothing Mist. His mana starting to be tapped. Now he goes into the Asphyxiate. They're swapping. He's trying to Dark Simulacron the Life Cocoon here into the half leg sweep, but he's not giving him the Life Cocoon. It's going to fade. He portals away. He doesn't even need to, but Jim's right on his bum right there, spamming the Denounces, keeping Nefo pressured. Jim on the other side of that portal could have maybe stunned him. DR, I don't think it's worth it, but Nefo being pressured very hard here, 80%, throws out the leg sweep, lands onto everyone. Jim has to Trinket. The Turbo swapping over to him, 50% HP, activates the Aura Mastery, gets the Flash heals out, but now to the DR Shockwave, he has to use use the shield wall to reduce the damage, and they're still tunneling into him. Spitskoffy into the full Fist of Justice. He's going to trinket immediately. They proc the Save by the Light. He gets locked out on that Holy Light, 30% HP. The Blade Storm's going to force the bubble. In the meantime, Shamanistic Rage had to be used by Spitskoffy. Volkovich counter pressuring him very hard as he chases. Nefo being pressured by Voltarius in the center of the map. He has to go for the Ore Mastery, Surging Mists to top his partner off. He's trying to kite Voltarius, but Voltarius is able to keep up as they're both playing the Monk class. Now into the Incapacitate, they're charge stunning Voltarius. They're swapping over to him, but he has all of his CDs. I don't think that's a great choice. Spitskoffy with the NS up kind of randomly here. He's going to want to throw that out soon. He's going for the Hex. He gets fisted on the Hex, though, and now Nefo has to use the Life Cocoon. Volkovich may have Dark Simulacron as well. The Breath of Cinder Ghost coming out. Nefo has to portal away. Blizzo, you activating the Die by the Sword, so he can't be swapped to as effectively. Spitskoffy taking the remaining amount of damage from the Breath of Cinder Ghost, though the Spirit Wolves come out to give him a little bit more healing. But Blizzo now, without that cooldown, is getting pressured. 16% Rallying Cry comes out. Voltarius gets the Life Cocoon, which was stolen by Volkovich. He does manage to lock the Hex out on Spitskoffy. He goes for the Hex once again, but does get line of sighted. Now into the Fist of Justice. Rallying Cry is going to fade, paralyze onto Nefo. They need more CC on him if they're going to get a kill onto Spitskoffy. It doesn't seem like they have it. Spitskoffy just chasing after Jim Jim right now. Asphyxia onto Nefo. Recklessness from Blizzo, though. Jim Jim has to bop immediately out of that. Spitskoffy into the charge, so he's not going to be able to purge it immediately. And Jim Jim's managed to top himself off. Spitskoffy has that Sham Rage available. He gets intervened by Blizzo to try and reduce the damage by 25%. Going for the Hex once again, trying to fake cast some of these interrupts, but he gets locked out on the Hex, which means he won't be able to Sham Rage for about 3 more seconds. He's getting pressured very hard. Nefo at 56% mana. The Gargoyle out. Double leg sweep, though, on Blizzo and Spitskoffy. Nefo in the back line, just spamming out as many heals as he can. Denounce is flying in at Blizzo. He's getting the Whirlwind. There's the Shockwave out onto Jim Jim. They're pressuring him once again. 66% HP. The Colossus Smash comes up. He uses the Avenging Wrath and Gift of the Naru to try and top himself here. But there's a ton of damage coming out from Spitskoffy's Ascendants. He pops the Ancestral Guidance as well to give himself a little bit more healing as he pushes in deep. Triple Fear was landed there. Volkovich is going to use the Soothing Mist that he stole onto Jim Jim as he line of sights. Just a little bit of extra healing from Volkovich there. But the Capacitor Totem is landed by Spitskoffy onto Jim Jim. He has a shield wall available in 1 second. He's going to rebuff the Mastery buff to give his DPS a little bit more damage and pressure Spitskoffy a little bit more. And Volkovich is split DPSing on Nefo right now. There's the Fist of Fury on Spitskoffy. He's going to Shamanistic Rage out of that immediately to reduce the damage. There's the Asphyxia onto Nefo. They're trying to swap over to him. Volkovich has connected. He gets charge stun, though. Potentially a double Shockwave if they stack up here, which is why they're splitting up. They don't want Blizzo to get those double Shockwaves. Nefo is trying to stack them up by rolling through, though. It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to land that Shockwave just yet. He does land onto Jim Jim and Voltarius. Voltarius instantly Nimble Bruise, goes for the leg sweep. Blizzo Trinket Blade Storms to get the pressure rolling onto Jim Jim, who has no bubble left. He has his Trinket. He's actually going for Denounces. Might be a mistake to go offensive here. He's at 50% HP, no wall available. He's rebuffing once again, paralyzed onto Spitskoffy, peeling him for now. Nefo with the Life Cocoon, but I think it was stolen by Volkovich, so he can throw that Life Cocoon onto Voltarius so he can stay offensive. Really good play from Volkovich to steal 2 Life Cocoons this game. Spitskoffy is tapped on mana. We're moving into dampening, so his off healing is going to start to slow down significantly. Blizzo going into battle stance, trying to pressure Volkovich as they push onto Nefo across the map. Nefo changing his kiting pattern up a little bit. He wants to drag Jim Jim into the center of the map and then roll back. Double Shockwave lands onto Volkovich and Voltarius. He's not going to be able to grip Nefo. There's the paralyze into Jim Jim. They need a little bit more CC out of that. Maybe a leg sweep, perhaps. They're not going to get it. The full Fear lands. Volkovich getting pressured very hard. He's spamming the Death Siphon, a leg sweep onto Spitskoffy. Blizzo managed to wreck Bladestorm to immune the stun, and he's pressuring Volkovich even harder now. Jim Jim now into the leg sweep, but he managed to top him off before that. Spitskoffy now feeling the feedback, 49%. He has the Shamanistic Rage. He activates it. Triple Shockwave lands. They're trying to pressure Jim Jim. Still no Divine Protection for 1 more minute. The Safeguard comes out. Ancestral Guidance as well. He wants to push in with this extra little bit of defensiveness. Jim Jim 30%. Spitskoffy is topped off for now. He should be all right to push in, and they do lock the Word of Glory of Jim Jim. No bubble for a minute. He does have a bop. He's going to get the bop off. Can they purge it in time? Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to just yet. He purges off the buff. He's trying to get that bop desperately, but he can't get it. He finally gets the bop off, 40% HP. He fake casts the Windsure. He's trying to fake cast all the pummels and interrupts right now to cast this Word of Glory. He's managing to get some heals, but he lands in the full Capacitor Totem. He's going to have to Trinket immediately. Charge stun. Now the Asphyxia onto Nefo. He might steal another Life Cocoon, which is key for Jim Jim here, but he's not going to. Blizzo goes down. Nefo not able to deal with the split pressure here. 13 minutes left of this game. Ba-da-dum. Jim with the comebacks, man, coming from the losers bracket. And taking the first game in the best of 5. Just loading out here. My potato computer is kind of slow. I apologize. And then we're going to ask, they want Dalaran, and they are ready. They want to jump right into the second game of the best of 5 in Dalaran Arena. FakeBot Nefo is down another game. They can be defeated. You queue them up right away. Oh, whoops. That was a misclick. Wrong map. Let's make sure Jim didn't take it. He did not. All right, Dalaran Sewers is going to be the second map today. All right, any spec changes? I don't see any. Arms for Blizzo, Enhancement for Spitskafi still, Mistweaver for Nefo, Unholy for Vukovic, Windwalker for Voltarius, Jim with Holy. The Windwalker dream is alive, man. They're up 1 game in the best of 5. Fortunately, though, for Gladiator FakeBot, if they do lose the best of 5, they get a second chance because they are in the grand finals in the winners bracket to play another series best of 5. So this team Shoananas has a lot of work. They have to win 5 more games total. Individually, 5 more games to be able to be deemed champions of the first ProGameX tournament of 2015. Let's see how aggressive Blizzo and Spitskafi play this game. It was a bit of a random death onto Blizzo here. The early blitz stun onto almost the entire team. Jim going for some early denounces. Colossus Smash coming out onto Vukovic. They're trying to pressure him. Recklessness Bladestorm from Blizzo on both melee DPS. Full Hex onto Jim. This is the CC and damage they need. But he is going to go for the heroic leap Fear. And Jim was able to sit all of that. Dark Sim onto Nefo. He's trying to steal the Life Cocoon once again into the DR leg sweep, but Nefo is not going to give it to him. Blitz stun onto Vukovic and Voltarius. They're definitely trying to pressure the melee more than Jim here in the early game. Nefo trying to fake some interrupts here, the spear hand strike. He does manage to fake it. I believe they're going for the gift of the Naru. He's going to portal away to avoid the incoming damage. Shockwave onto Voltarius to prevent him from reconnecting. Jim into the paralyze. Possibly a leg sweep out of it. He's trying to connect him. The capacitor totem lands as well as the leg sweep. Voltarius dipping to 49%. Nefo gets pet rooted here into the full stun. He may need to Life Cocoon, and he will. Jim with the Avenging Wrath, trying to keep his team offensive as Blizzo and Spitskafi swap over to him, throwing the Fist of Justice onto Spitskafi's Ascendance here. He's trying to reconnect, go for a Hex. Fake casting the Dark Sin potentially lands the full Hex. It might break to the Flame Shock. Doesn't seem like it's going to be enough damage. Nefo getting pressured fairly hard here, but he has managed to get away. Voltarius into the full Shockwave there. Jim's Avenging Wrath is going to be fading. Gets locked out on that Holy Light. Bladestorm from Blizzo, though. Voltarius at 40% HP. They're switching over to Jim now to stop him from casting, but a nice leg sweep. Spitskafi trinkets instantly. Blizzo has to sit through that. Activates the regen to get his health up a little bit higher, but he's getting chunked through it. Nefo spamming the Surging Mist heals, trying to top Blizzo. Spitskafi now into the Paralyzed. Blizzo being pressured very hard by Voltarius on top of Jim, and Jim's kiting him further and further away from Nefo, so Nefo has to push up as Vukovic swaps over to him. The split DPS seems to be working so far, but Jim now finally into the Shockwave, forced to use that shield wall, 30% HP, kiting around the pillar, getting the Holy Lights out of line of sight of the interrupts, but he does get kicked by Nefo. The Mistweaver Monk pushing in for an interrupt and might force the bubble here, saved by the light, and the bubble is forced. Great offensive play from Nefo, landing that kick even as the healer roll pushing in with his team. And they get that cooldown much earlier than last time. Spitskafi getting trained here, the Fist of Fury. He's going to activate the Shamanistic Rage to counteract that. Nefo now into the full Asphyxiate. Voltarius and Vukovic spreading their damage around. Nefo trying to achieve Torpedo to get up here and get the heals going and get his team offensive. That's a full Shockwave onto Jim. No trinket available into the charge stun. Possibly a DR stun out of that. He gets the Avenging Wrath just in time. He's trying to get the heals off. 18%. Execute connects. Gladiator FakeBot is not out yet, boys. We are tied 1-1 in this grand finals. Is the Windwalker dream alive? Or will he be taken down by Spitskafi and Blizzo? Was that erect? You guys think that was erect in chat? You think they played pretty well? All right, Blizzo is ready. We're just going to wait for a map choice from Jim Jim. Jim Jim. Map choice. Tolvaron Arena. Here we go. And that's the dead Jim Jim pick that our cameraman found. All right, we tied 1-1. Best of 5 moving into Tolvaron Arena. Both these teams are ready to go. Jim Jim always goes to the Tolvaron Arena as his map choice. Seems to be their favorite map. Just trying to get the queue to work here. Might take a few attempts. Seems like it's working. Seems like it's popped. We are moving in. Tolvaron Arena, round 3. Fight! That was a really bad impersonation of that, but hey. Somebody laughed, I'm sure. Out of the 3,000 people, somebody had to laugh to that, and if nobody did, then I'll just stop. All right. No spec changes here on either side. Standard play for these teams with their main comps. Game's gonna be starting here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go, go, go. Volkovich gonna lay down his, or sorry, Voltarius gonna lay down his port, move to the center of the map. Early paralyze on a Blizzo. Unfortunately, it's gonna break to damage. He was trying to bait the enrage there. Wasn't able to get it. Double shockwave lands onto Voltarius and Volkovich. Blizzo leaps in for that fear onto Jim Jim. They're trying to pressure both of the melee right now with this Blade Storm on Volkovich mostly. That's the Fist of Justice onto Spitskafi. He gets dispelled, though, by Nefo. I think he used his Revival to actually dispel that, so he's not going to have that burst healing for later. Now Nefo being pressured by Volkovich very hard over here. Goes into the Gnaw, pet stun. He's trying to chi torpedo to the center of the map to force that death grip. Gargoyle is out, pumping those Wrath-like abilities into Nefo right now, but he's kited effectively and avoiding both of these melee. Spitskafi as well, throwing out the NS. Lightning Bolt actually not going to go for the healing. Leg sweep out of that paralyze onto Jim Jim, possibly swapping. The Colossus Smash, Mortal Strike connects, but Spitskafi in the leg sweep right now. He's not able to purge spam Jim Jim down. Now with the Aura Master, he should be able to top himself. Volkovich into the paralyze. He is dotted. That is going to break. He's trying to connect back onto Nefo. Double charge blitz. Or Nefo now into the full 68 Breath of Cinder Ghost. So he's going to nimble out of that and portal away and be a little slippery Mistweaver Monk over here. And now they have to swap over to Spitskafi and start pressuring him. He has that Shamanistic Rage available, so he's not going to get a lot done there. They paralyze onto Nefo, but he has the dots. It's going to break. It forces the Shamanistic Rage nonetheless. Jim Jim's Avenging Wrath is fading should they swap over to him. Nefo pushing in for that offensive paralyze, possibly a swap out of that into the charge stun. Shockwave connects onto Voltarius and Jim Jim, chucking him down to about 79%. Spitskafi is having a hard time sticking, and now they're swapping back to Nefo into the half-yard stun. 43% just portals out immediately. Blizzo now with the Blade Storm is being pressured, though. 46%, he has to cancel it. Now into the leg sweep, though. No trinket available. 30%, 40%. Nefo going for the heals, but he gets paralyzed. It's going to break to the dots, thankfully for him. Blizzo will survive here. Lands the double shockwave. Volkovich going to desecrate out of that. Fear on the Jim Jim. Volkovich being pressured. He's going to cloak AMS here to mitigate any magic damage that he can, but Spitskafi is relentless with this purge spam right now. Jim Jim doing his best to heal through it. Maybe pushing out for a fist onto Nefo here shortly. Not a lot happening just yet. No CC on the Nefo, no CC on the Jim Jim. Jim Jim actually getting locked out, though, by the wind shear of Spitskafi. Doing a bunch of damage. Now swapping onto Jim Jim. Finally, the charge stun comes out. Spitskafi just can't connect, though. He drops the Windwalk Totem. He's running as fast as he can. Word of Glory is rolling for Jim Jim. He gets locked out. He might die without bubbling. The save by the Light Procs into the Shockwave. He trinket Avenging Wrath immediately to try and get his HP back up. 40%. He's running around this pillar like Ring Around the Rosie, but Spitskafi is relentless in into his pursuit. Blizzo activating the battle stance, trying to throw out whatever damage he can. He threw out the reflect as well to try and reflect the Fist of Justice onto Jim Jim, but he did not fist into that. Now Nefo being pressured very low here. It's the Dark Sim. He doesn't want to give the Life Cocoon. He's able to portal away, but he might get locked out here. He fakes the Spear Hand Strike of Voltarius. Chi Torpedoes to the center. Gets paralyzed, though. 20% HP. Aura Mastery comes out. Rallying Cry as well. Breath of Cinder Gosa. He's going to activate the Life Cocoon, but there's the recklessness from Blizzo. He's trying to take down Jim Jim. The bubble at 5% HP there. Both teams getting so many CDs, so close to death. And now Vukovic swapping over to Blizzo, 62%. He's going for the Bladestorm onto both of the melee here, stacking up nicely for that Bladestorm to cleave effectively. Goes in for the Leap Pummel, and he manages to land it onto Jim Jim, locking his heel. Now into the Full Fear out of the lockout. He has no way out. Voltarius goes for the leg sweep, though, trying to counter pressure Blizzo. He activates the regen to heal through this gargoyle pressure as Nefo is in a stun. He's going to come out of that stun, get the heals rolling here, but it might be an over-aggressive push. He lands the shockwave, though. Colossus smashes up onto Jim Jim. He's spamming the freedom. It gets purged immediately. He's trying to run away. He doesn't have his trinket, and he doesn't have his bubble. He still has 2 bops remaining. Close call, though, for Jim Jim at 5%. Nefo now portaling away. Voltarius on his tail, though. He's going to have to use the Aura Mastery to top himself off. Now putting Voltarius into the Paralyze, but he was dotted with the Rend and Flame Strike. It's going to break immediately. Blizzo trying to pressure Jim Jim as much as possible. He's got the Avenging Wrath. He gets Shockwaved on the Aura Mastery. He has to bop immediately. If they can purge the bop, they do manage to purge the bop. 70% HP, but without any more stuns, he should be okay. And in the meantime, Nefo getting crushed by Voltarius and Vukovic, 32%. Portals to the other side of this pillar, spamming the Soothing Mist, should be able to pick himself back up. Vukovic activating the AMS, trying to mitigate whatever damage he can, activating the Desecrated Ground as well to get out of the CC, pressuring Blizzo and Spitskoffy now in the center, waiting for Nefo to make himself vulnerable to a swap. Capacitor Totem comes down. It's going to get choked